Perek Sadi Aleph, the 91st chapter of the book of Psalms. Yesterday's chapter was a sad chapter about the difficulties of life and wasting our time, and it's a Tefillah Moshe. It's a chapter that was written by Moshe. Rashi says that these chapters as well, over here up to about 100, were also written by Moshe. It's not clear that that is the case. It seems rather unlikely. Perhaps it's a poet who was following in the ways of the earlier chapter 90, but it's a chapter we know from funerals. We know it from Shabbat morning. Yoshe b'seiter elyon b'tzel Shaddai yitlonan. So you who dwells in the Most High, right, and whose shadow I want to be in, Elohai. Sorry, I don't know. I lost my place there for a second. My apologies. Omar Ladunai, Machsi umitsudati Elohai eftach bo. I say to God, my refuge, my stronghold, the God who I trust in, the God who I place all of my trust in. Why do I place my trust in God? Kihu yatzilcha mipach yakush midever havot. Because God saves me from traps. God saves me from plagues. Be'evrato yasechlach v'tachat kenafav techseh tzina v'tzochera amito. God covers you, right? He covers you with his pinions. And you will find refuge under his wings. His fidelity is a circle, a shield that covers you fully, so you're saved from traps. Right, the last chapter there was a lot of emphasis on the difficulties of life, the sorrow, the troubles. We cited the Gemara, the whole question about if it's Chaviv Adam Mishalo Nivra, Mishanivra, is better that a person should have never been created, that life is so difficult. And here we're saying a person's almost like a response to this last chapter, that God will protect you. The God will protect you. There's also a midrashic idea within this chapter that this is sort of like Shlomo is responding back to is talking with David, and they're talking with each other about God's protection and whether God protects the person. Continuing in verse 5, Lo tira mipachad laila mechetz ya'uf yomam. Don't fear the terror burning by night, or the arrow that flies by day. You know, at night it's scary. We don't know what's going on, so that should be even worse than during the day. But we know that there are terrible things that can happen today. You don't have to worry. Midever ba'ofel yahalof miketev yashur tzarayim. The plague that stalks in the darkness, the scourge that ravages in noon. We think here in this where we talk about noon or darkness, right? You think back to Yetziat Mitzrayim, where Techatzot Laila, in the middle of the night, at the darkest point, is when the angel of death, or God, came out to kill the Egyptian firstborn. So we think about that. We think about what happened to the Jews. Well, they were in their homes, the blood on their doorposts, eating their Paschal lambs, their Karban Pesach, the initial Karban Pesach, the original Karban Pesach, and they were protected. So there's scourges, there's darkness, there are plagues. But if I put my trust in God, if I stay within the home, under the divine wings, in that shelter, kind of like how God, in the same way that God protected those who had listened and placed the blood on their doorposts, then you will be protected from these things. Continuing in verse 7, Pasuk Zayin, Yipol mitzidcha elef urivava mimincha elecha lo yigash. 1,000 may fall at your side, at your left, 10,000 at your right, but it will not reach you. Right? And again, continue with this idea. Perhaps they're going back to the Makat Bechorot, to the death of the firstborn. Rak be'inecha tabit v'shilumat rishaim tir'eh. You will see it with your eyes. You will witness the punishment of the wicked, as the Jewish people saw, and they were able to leave. Ki ata Adonai machsi elyon samta. Why is this? Why will you be able to see the destruction of everybody else? Well, the reason is because God is your refuge. You've put your trust in God. God is your haven. Lo tuna elecha ra'a v'nega lo yikrav be'ohalecha. No harm will befall you. No disease will touch your tent. You are protected from these things. And how is it? Ki malachav yitzav elach l'shmorcha b'chol derachecha. Because God's angels, God has commanded his angels to guard you wherever you will go. The Gemara, based upon this verse, happens to say that there are two angels who accompany a person throughout their lives, which sounds good, but then they testify about him or her when they get up to the heavens. So in all the things that you do, God is protecting you, God is guarding you, God's angels are there with you, so there could be death and destruction all around, but you could somehow be saved. Continuing Pasuk Yud Bet, Al Kapayim Yisa Uncha Pentigof Ba'even Raglecha. These angels will carry you in their hand, lest you hurt your foot on a stone, right? Lest you come to smash your foot or something. The angels are there protecting you and watching your ways. Al shachal vafeten tidroch tirmos kfir vitanin. You will tread on cubs and vipers. You will trample lions and asps, right? There's nothing that's going to attack you. There are going to be attacks from below and attacks from above, but God here is coming and God can protect you and will protect you. And again, this is the person who puts their trust in God. You put your trust in God, you stay close to God, God will stay close to you. Kivi chashak ba'afaltehu asagvehu kiyada shmi. Because he is devoted to me, I will deliver him. That's as if God is speaking there. I will keep him safe, for he knows my name. Right? God is saying, this person, why am I protecting this person from the scorpions, from the snakes, from all of the plagues? Because this is a person who comes close to me. This is a person who is in my presence and puts their faith in me, and so I will protect him. Yikra'eni, Pasuk Tedvav, verse 15, ve'enehu imo anochi v'tzara achaltsehu v'achabadehu. When he calls on me, I will answer him. I will be with him in his distress. I will rescue him, and I will make him become honored. And this verse contains a phrase here that's a very important phrase in Jewish life. Many different ideas. The middle phrase here, imo anochi v'tzara, that God says, I will be with him in his sorrow. Hasidic notion, mystical notion. God is in pain. God is suffering. God is in exile. It's not only in mystical writings. We have it in the Gemara. We have it in other places, but really delved much deeper and in greater length and discussion in those sorts of writings. I'm reminded of something that might not be an exact quote, but Heschel compares, Abraham Joshua Heschel compares the God of Aristotle and the God of Abraham, and he talks about the God of Aristotle, static God, the unmoved mover, never changing. And he calls the God of Abraham the most moved mover, the one who experiences the most pain along with the people. God is in exile. God is suffering. When you're crying, God is suffering with you. God is with you. Sarah. We see that in a place very early on in the Torah when Yaakov is going down to Egypt and he stops in Beersheba and he's scared and he doesn't want to go down. And God basically says to him, I'm going to go with you. I've sent Yosef there, Lechalkel, to take care of you, and I will bring you down, and I will go back up with you. Your people will not remain there forever. So this idea of Imo Anochi V'Tzara, God is with you. So here, time of death is when this is said. At a funeral, it's said God is sending his angels with the deceased, and God is going to protect the people who live past that. Continuing the last verse of this chapter, Orech Yamim Asbiehu ve'arehu bishuati. I will let him live to a ripe old age, and I will show him my salvation. So a person's life will be lengthy. A person's life will live long. We say this verse very often. We say it sometimes twice together, after Shabbat. The end of Shabbat has this idea of death and souls going back to Gehenna and going back to places. And so post Shabbat, we talk also about this ripe old age and growing and getting old. So again, in yesterday's chapter, we talked a lot about the difficulties of life, the sorrow, the horror. And this chapter, in many ways, is almost a response. Become close to God. God will protect you. And it will be Orech Yamim Asbiehu. I'll let him live to a ripe old age. And this ripe old age, the person will see Yeshuati. The person will be salvation. It won't be a life of just sorrow, of difficulty and darkness, but it will be one that has that a person is able to enjoy the fruits of his or her labor.